I'm Dan from Flarespace. Today we are going to be installing some rear window vents and everything else into a 144 Mercedes Sprinter. This one happens to be a newer version, so the 2019 plus Sprinters. I also have an older one here, which is the previous generation up to 2018 NCV3. The difference here is obviously this cutout right here that allows for the badge for the older version. Slightly different different part of this is the actual backing on this. Today we're going to be installing a cover that goes over all of this. We've actually got a foam material here as well that we're going to be going through and kind of show you how to install all those pieces. Typically they'll just come as raw fiberglass on the back side that you'll want to cover yourself, or use the kit that we have as well in that. These have also been painted already for install today. This one is just a raw fiberglass piece. Other than that, we're going to get into how to install them on the van, how to install your windows, and then again, how to install these kind of prototype pieces that we'll have today. Without anything else, we'll get into it. All right, so this van came to us with everything already cut out. So all the window holes for the flares in the back here were already cut out. So I'm not going to be showing that today. We do have another clip that will show you on how to actually cut all that out. If yours does come with windows already back here, you can use like a piano wire or a heavy braided fishing line and basically cut through the plastic or the adhesive that holds those on there. But for us, these have already come this way from Mercedes factory, and we're just going to be using the holes as they are. So before we actually glue on all of the flares, we want to make sure we get this all prepped. So those pieces, the rear window vents, are going to be basically coming up to this curve all the way around, and then all the way up to this seam here. But we're going to want to scuff up this shiny paint for better adhesion. So we're going to use a Scotch-Brite pad basically and just cover the 2 inches just along the inside edge of all of this. We're not trying to go down to the paint. All we're doing is just getting a little bit of roughness to all these surfaces. All right, now that everything is scuffed up here, we want to actually clean everything up. I'm going to use a denatured alcohol, but all we're doing is just trying to get all of the loose kind of powder off the van and get a nice surface to bond to. All right, we are going to go ahead and get these covers attached to the rear window vents themselves. To do that, we're actually going to spray both sides of this material and then let it set up, get tacky, and then stick them together. I'm actually going to use the window itself and slide it underneath this part, and then we'll actually align the cover with that window, so that way everything is nice and square. One thing to note on here is that once you're actually, this is all laid on here, you don't want to have all the material all the way out to the end. So we'll actually trim this back at the end, because this is going to be where we're actually going to glue this to the body of the vehicle. So again, you want to have some room around the outside of this kind of exposed, but you don't want to come so far in that you're actually going to be able to see it or see the underlying material through the hole itself in the vehicle. So you may want to kind of hold it up once or twice to make sure where you're cutting it is the correct area. All right, so a few things to note. I just set this one on here. First, don't spray the actual fabric side of this. That's gonna be a bad mistake. The next one is make sure that the actual flap, when you roll it all up, is on the bottom. On this version of the rear window vent for this model, it's gonna have that tapered cut that indicates the bottom. So I've got this held up right now, but I just wanted to show kind of how you're actually going to get this all trimmed out in here. So we want to make sure that this cover panel is covering the backer or the actual fiberglass piece. You have plenty of room, so you don't like worry about getting it exact. So just make sure that you're cutting it somewhere on the outside and then leaving yourself room to have a glue flange there. So this is what I was saying right here, where we just cut it a little bit shy of the actual glue area, but within plenty of space to have the actual panel overlap over top of this. Mount the rear window vents. We're going to tape these things up here. I've already run a couple pieces of tape. They look strange, but it's basically I'm going to run a length of tape from the top down below it, and then I'm going to basically just fold it back on itself so it's out of my way, but I can easily just reach up and then pull it down when I actually go to do this. I'll have 2 across each piece, and then I'll probably come back and then tape across kind of the edge area and the side area, just make sure everything is nice and even on there. So we'll go ahead and do that tape now. Right now, I'm kind of pulling away from the van. So I'm going to try to put something here so that when I stretch the tape, it'll actually press it down. So they're all taped up there for now. We'll come back in about 24 to 36 hours to actually install the final window pieces in these holes themselves. But right now they're just held up there by tape. They're nice and light, so they're not going to go anywhere. I did go ahead and add a little bit of blocks to this. With the curve of the Sprinter, sometimes these corners themselves will actually come up a little bit. So all I did was I built up a little bit of material here and then just taped over it. That allows that part to get sucked in on those corners. Similarly, right here on these corners, I just taped around the corner there so that it actually just pulls it tight. But that's pretty much it. Everything's set for now, and we'll leave it to dry. So it's been a few days since we installed our rear window vents in the back of the Sprinter. We're going to go ahead now, everything is dry here, to go ahead and do the AMA window install. Things to note on this: when you install them, you're going to have the windows themselves towards the middles. And if you look closely, you can actually see where it says like AMA or AM on the bottoms there, so that'll indicate the bottom. The other way you can tell that it's actually the bottom of the window is through these areas right through here. These are for weeping water that were to come in through the window and it would collect in these tracks. It'll actually weep out the bottom. So as we install all these, and we're going to use the same glue that we've used for the flares and the rear window vents themselves around this seams, you don't want to get any glue in this area. If you do that, it'll seal up these holes and you won't be able to actually have water weeping out of the bottoms. So that's an important thing to know there. On the actual flares themselves, I'll show you this as well. The bottoms of this cutout and this landing surface has a small indentation right here on both sides. to allow for everything to fit up nicely and nice and flush there. So far, all we have left to do is scuff up our landing surfaces like we did before. We'll run our temporary tape across the top. We'll get everything glued up, and we'll have everything installed. So just like gluing the flares and the rear window vents, we want to kind of have the right area between the outside and the inside when we put our glue here. The reason for that is if you put it all the way on the outside edge, you're going to have a lot of glue squish out, which is not a whole lot of fun to clean out. But if you put it all the way to the inside, then it's not going to actually hit the right spot on there. So we're going to try to keep right in the middle of this area all the way around. It's pretty even, and that way we don't have too much squeeze out on the inside or the outside. We end up with a really nice seal. Alright, so we got these glued in place. We made sure we put the bottom towards the bottom and did not cover our weep holes there. Got 2 pieces of tape over top of it, stretched pretty tight. All we're really doing is kind of gaining or grabbing right here and here so that nothing is twisting or moving up and down, but that'll hold it in place. Also wanted to point out on our insides that cover that we put on before, it's all covering up everything. Any glue that would have squished out is now behind everything and nicely kind of finished out. And then just to show you how this works as well, you roll this up, stick that in place, and now you have your privacy when you want that, or you have your vent and your kind of sun coming through, your view, when you don't want that privacy. Pretty simple, all finished up here, and I think we're done.